Hey guys, welcome. Today we're going to look at this car. This is a 1999 Honda Civic DX with only 70,000 miles. And one of the bonuses is that it's a 5-speed transmission. Things I really like about this car is the hatchback style. It's very popular among like racers and all of the modders. It's a very lightweight car. This is a 99, so it's like one of the later ones. This one drives fantastic. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you saw that I bought two Civics just last week, and they were 1994s. There is quite a bit of a difference between this 99 and those 94s. First, the mileage is a lot worse on this, but the added benefit that you have is power steering and AC. It's so much better. Those things you need in this area. One of the really interesting things about this car, of course, is the shape. This sort of shape has come back in the form of the latest Honda Civic Type R, but of course the Civic Type R has got a lot more fancy bells and whistles. This one is very bare bones, but the shape makes it a very interesting car, and it feels like very much you are inside a fishbowl looking out. One of the things that starts to happen in the DC metro area is that the paint starts fading out and it starts to get a lot of rust here. Now this car only has 70,000 miles and it wasn't really driven in the snow, so this is pristine. The other Civics that I had started to rust right here, and it was a really bad thing because normally when they start to rust like that, you either have to Bondo over and it's not a permanent fix. The way to fix it is by cutting out the part that's completely rusted and re-welding a piece of panel on there. So oftentimes people know how to do that when they buy these cars, but in the DC metro area, all of these cars have some sort of rust from this age. This one does not have that cool feature of having the glass that pops out. This one has got one single door that lifts up. So the other Civics had a clamshell design. So I guess 94s, like you could open up the glass up and then you can kind of reach in and remove stuff. And then you could also open the bottom half out, kind of like a mini pickup truck tailgate. This one, on the other hand, it's just one big door, which is not bad. It's a pretty large door, and this is the standard of what people are doing in cars anyway. Inside the hatch, you have a lot of space. You have this privacy door here. That way you can store stuff in the trunk, and once this is closed and you have this down, you can't see what you're carrying, so that's a lot better in case somebody wants to steal something from you. This privacy screen here is really handy. You also have the speakers right here in the rear, 1 and 2, and you have a pretty decent sized trunk along with a spare tire. And since this is a hatchback, you could remove this, put it here, and you can lower the seats down extremely easily, and you have a really large space to put anything. That's the beauty of these hatchbacks. Even though they're very small from the outside, they kind of look like half a car, you can put a lot of stuff in here. So we do have some issues with this car. You have a piece of tape here that the previous owner glued down the button. If you remove it, it's just going to expose the spring in there, so he just put that on temporarily. But as you can see, this is a 5-speed manual transmission Honda Civic DX with only 70,000 miles. Pretty rare. Cloth seats are in extremely good condition, and one of the things I like about this car is that it's extremely comfortable. You wouldn't think so because it's a tiny little Honda Civic, but the suspension, the way the seats are designed, the material for the seats, everything is holding up really well over time. So there's nothing fancy about the door. You have manual locks, manual windows, and this is as bare bones as it gets. You also have manual mirrors. You actually have a space right here to put stuff. First, it is extremely comfortable, and you sit a little bit higher up. What I like about it is that you have like about 4 inches away from the AC unit and the radio. You barely have to take your hands off the wheel. I mean, I can even touch them like this. It's a very short reach, And also I like that it's dials. So a lot of times, and there's like a little bit of a friction to the dial, so it makes it very easy to adjust the AC. It's old 90s cars. You have the hazard button behind the stalk here, and it's very difficult to see. So if you ever have an accident, you're kind of like searching for it. But this is very visible. Everything about this car is very, very visible. You also have a radio unit, but no CD, no tape deck, just a radio. The 94 Hondas that I had a tape deck, and at least it had some sort of media playback. And the radio, this one's just radio. You do have 2 airbags, but this thing is falling off. That's really the only downside of this car, is that these buttons are falling off. There is another button here in the hood that is falling off. You do have to admire the interiors of Honda. All the Hondas that I've had, the quality of the materials that they use is excellent. The seats, they're so comfortable, and for being like a 20-year-old car, there's no cracks, there's nothing, and the seat continues to be extremely comfortable. Very simple doors, but even when you close this door, that is a solid feel for the door. So normally these cars are very sought after, and I can see why, because the quality of this thing is insane. You know, Honda and Toyota have the best build quality I've ever seen, and they hold up over time so much. But look at the radio. Just having these simple buttons helps out so much, and it's just so easy to reach. It only has 70,000 miles, and it doesn't have a tachometer. It doesn't have much other than that. It's got like a coolant temperature gauge, the fuel gauge, and the speedometer and odometer, and that's it. Not much else. Very simple radio, but everything about this car works, and I do admire this sort of like style because it's simple. This is a fascinating thing. You have a tiny little cup holder and a big cup holder for your passenger, I guess, and then a space here to put whatever. And up here you have your 12-volt socket, and of course this is the gem. A 5-speed manual transmission Honda was cheaper than an automatic. And nowadays in the used market, what tends to happen with Toyotas and Hondas, and just about every car in the 90s and the 2000s, if you have a 5-speed manual transmission car, it's worth more than an automatic. It's kind of odd how it's reversed, but the reason is that a manual transmission car is worth more because they last longer. If you know anything about the Honda transmissions, you know that these go bad pretty often, except for the manual transmissions. Honda is really known for making great small engines, and if you have a great engine, you have to have a great transmission, and the great transmissions on Hondas are all the 5-speed manuals. You do not want to keep a Honda that's an automatic. It's going to break. They are known to be unreliable, but of course they last a lot longer than most cars, except Toyota. Toyotas, I never had an issue with in any automatic Toyota I've had. But if it's a 5-speed manual transmission, not only it's much more fun to drive, it just lasts longer, so why wouldn't you? And you also get better gas mileage in a 5-speed manual transmission in this age than you would with an automatic. Who would buy a 1999 Honda Civic with 70,000 miles, or any Honda Civic from 1999 with 100-something thousand miles? And I think there's 2 groups. First, there's the group who wants to commute, which in a way, that group was the original group, and they moved on to better stuff, and they've grown older. They probably want safer cars. So it seems like the people that would buy these Honda Civics are people who want to modify them and enjoy the look of the Honda Civic hatchback, because it's got such a following. And I never realized that this car was that popular, because to me, when I look at this car, I go, This is a perfect car for doing pizza delivery because it's like economical. It gets 40 something miles to the gallon. It's relatively safe. It's got 2 airbags. And it looks pretty cool. Like, it's got a lot of utility. But what I found from selling other Honda hatchbacks is that the people that buy them are the people that want to race, because this car is a very fun, peppy car to drive. And Hondas generally are very fun driving cars because their motors are very fast. For something so small, they're pretty fast. And all the Civics that I've driven are fun to drive, even like the ones from 1994. All right, guys, that's the 1999 Honda Civic review. I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and like or dislike. And if there's any other car that you want to see in this channel, write in the comments below and I'll be sure to look for one. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.